You know, when you think about it, having a VHS collection was like watching TV, in my case Cartoon Network, without those pesky commercial breaks. I mean, sure, you could record from TV, but you'd have to be exceptionally good at timing ad breaks. Otherwise, you find yourself missing a few precious moments of that TV show you love so much. When I look at my VHS collection and I think about owning a TV series I love so dearly, I turn to Tom and Jerry. I did say I had unfinished business. My first piece of unfinished business is working out the answer to another question that has haunted me for decades. What is my favourite Tom and Jerry episode? We're going to use the VHS and DVD collection to help figure out this age-old dilemma. We've already looked at Bad Day at Cat Rock, one of the first videos I ever owned, a good mix of Tom and Jerry shorts. Then there's Tom and Jerry the movie, my favourite guilty pleasure. I have such a polarising opinion on this one. It's a bad movie with bad music and a bad plot that barely focuses on the main duo. That being said, when I watch it, I get a feeling of sentimental nostalgia. It's a piece of shit I have some affection for. And as long as we're counting movies, we also have The Magic Ring. Tom and Jerry live with a wizard. The wizard has a ring that allows him to do magical wizard things. Jerry gets the ring stuck on his head, Tom has to get it back so the wizard won't kick his ass. It's average, good old Tom and Jerry fun. At this point, I decided to sit down and watch every single movie. Let's make it quick. Blast Off to Mars features the duo becoming stowaways on a rocket to Mars. They become stranded on the red planet, Jerry is worshipped as a king, and Martians attack Earth. Apart from the last 60 seconds, this is an awesome movie, despite what the critics would tell you. Sometimes you just need to shut your brain off and enjoy yourself. The Fast and the Furry, where Tom and Jerry destroy their owner's house, because of course they do, and they enter a super race around the world to win the most convenient prize of all time, a big, luxurious mansion. Who will win? Watch and find out. This is Tom and Jerry combined with Fast and Furious and wacky races. It may not be as funny as the last movie, but it's one hell of a good time. Shiver Me Whiskers, where Tom and Jerry are pirates. We've already had Fast and Furious, so why the hell not do Pirates of the Caribbean too? Tom and Jerry find a treasure map and there's some sibling pirate rivalry. That's about it. If you're really into pirate movies and don't care about having a decent plot, this one is right up your alley. A Nutcracker Tale, a 46-minute long opera disguised as a relatively short movie. Jerry plays the Nutcracker and has a passion for dancing, evidently his time with Gene Kelly didn't go to waste, and Tom is a henchman working for the Mouse King, who is a cat in this movie. First Donald Duck plays the Mouse King, and now a cat. Will this be regarded as one of the best Tom and Jerry movies? Probably not, but if your kids love the cat and mouse, this will probably be a good watch for them at Christmas. Tom and Jerry meet Sherlock Holmes. As if Abbott and Costello meeting Dracula and the Frankenstein monster wasn't weird enough. Tom and Jerry become assistants to Sherlock Holmes and help him solve a case relating to blackmail and some stolen jewels. If you've seen any Sherlock Holmes movie, you can imagine who the bad guy is. It's an average Sherlock movie with Tom and Jerry crowbarred in, and it's a jolly good experience all around. Tom and Jerry and the Wizard of Oz. Absolutely no explanation needed here. Tom and Jerry live on the farm with Dorothy, she ends up in Oz, they made a promise to protect her, and they follow her to the Emerald City. I'm not a fan of Wizard of Oz, but this one is not that bad. Robin Hood and his Merry Mouse. Not Merry Men, Merry Mouse. Evidently one Robin Hood episode wasn't enough, now they had to make a movie of it. There's really not much to say about this one. Tom and Jerry are there, Robin Hood is there, the Sheriff of Nottingham is there. It's an incredibly average, nothing special, run-of-the-mill feature with a really unoriginal story and an even more mediocre soundtrack than the first movie. This is probably the worst movie so far. Tom and Jerry's Giant Adventure. Tom and Jerry work with a kid named Jack in some crappy theme park. The theme park is due to be demolished by their butthead landlord, voiced by Tom Wilson. In order to pay off their mortgage, Jack's mother sells their star attraction, Hermione. No wonder the park is failing. Their star attraction, in their words, is a fucking cow. It's a retelling of Jack and the Beanstalk, so you can imagine what they get as payment for the cow. For a movie that's nothing more than a pretty predictable fairy tale, this one is actually pretty good. And not just because it features Biff Tannen. Tom and Jerry the Lost Dragon. Athena is a witch whose aunt has recently been banished from the village. The villagers take a leaf out of Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman and have a belief that Athena will turn out evil like her aunt, purely because of their blood relation. Luckily, she's allowed to remain in the village with her small pets. When she grows up, Athena runs a hospital for animals in the forest, and Tom and Jerry come across a dragon egg, stolen by a group of bandits from a fully grown fire breather. The egg hatches, and Athena, Tom and Jerry need to protect the dragon from a familiar face, who wishes to use the baby dragon to give her powers to become a super dragon. Yeah, apparently witches can do that. Nice. What do I think of this one? It's pretty good. Truth be told, I was playing Grand Theft Auto when I was watching this, so I wasn't giving it my full attention. But what I saw then, and when I rewatched the next day, was pretty decent. Not one of the best, but definitely an enjoyable one. The opening scenes feature younger versions of the duo, so when the title sequence came on, I half expected the opening to Tom and Jerry Kids. And when Puffy the Green Dragon was born, I found myself thinking, oh please don't be Tabaluga. I should also mention, this is probably the darkest Tom and Jerry movie ever made. So parents, if you're thinking of showing this to your children, be cautious. Tom and Jerry Spy Quest. I liked the opening 3 minutes of Tom and Jerry at the beach. It was very reminiscent of Saltwater Tabby and Muscle Beach Tom. And then Johnny Quest shows up and the movie lost me. In my 23-year relationship with Cartoon Network, I have never sat down to watch Johnny Quest. I've just never been interested. Never have, probably never will. I gave up on this one at the half-hour mark. It's probably not a bad movie, but it's not a Tom and Jerry movie. Tom and Jerry Back to Oz. Yeah, after a long string of standalone movies, this one is a sequel to the 2011 Wizard of Oz movie. With the Wicked Witch dead, some jackass known as the Gnome King is running Oz. He's basically a more competent version of Abbas Mal from Aladdin. He's a jerk and he's evil. The people of Oz need Dorothy's help to take him down. I don't think this one is as good as the original, but it's still perfectly enjoyable. One thing this movie has going for it is that it explains why cars are sentient beings in the 2006 Pixar movie. Apparently the people in Oz have some magic fuel that can bring vehicles to life. Evidently they exported that fuel to the real world. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. When you get past the fact that this piece of shit has absolutely no reason to exist, I don't think this is the worst Tom and Jerry movie. Is it the best movie? Absolutely not, but I can't call it the worst. It's touching and heartwarming for the first 10 minutes, and then it goes downhill fast. By the time Charlie meets Slugworth, it's all over. I think it's entertaining enough to beat Robin Hood and his Minnie Mouse, but that's not much of a compliment. If anything, the fact that I had to buy this movie on Amazon instead of being able to rent it was just rubbing salt in the wound. I feel like the movie could have been better if it was its own adaptation of the Roald Dahl book as opposed to a mediocre remake of the Gene Wilder movie. Some of the movies are good, some are a little hit and miss. Let's get back to the really good shit, the VHS Collection. Next on the list is Tom and Jerry's Cartoon Cavalcade from 1993. For starters, that is such a 90s title, and with great artwork like this, it would have easily won any fans over back in the 90s, like an average Superchunk marathon. Unfortunately, what holds the video back is the very short runtime. 7 episodes with a running time of barely 50 minutes. It's a good video with a great title, but it could have been longer. Next, Tom and Jerry Volumes 1, 2, 3 and 4, all from 2002. Basic as all hell titles, but between these 4 videos we have the first 51 episodes of the series. Volume 1, which is missing the VHS case for some reason, has episodes 1 through 12, Puss Gets the Boot to Baby Puss. Very nice start, and it only gets better. Volume 2 contains episode 13, the ever snazzy Zoot Cat, to episode 25, Trap Happy, an episode I wasn't that big on as a kid, but eventually I learned to just switch my intelligence off and enjoy some cartoons. Volume 3 has episode 26, Solid Serenade, to episode 38, Mouse Cleaning. Jerry's a jerk in that one, but aren't they both equally jerkish when you think about it? Slight spoiler here, but Solid Serenade has one of my favourite Tom and Jerry moments of all time.
I love you.
Volume 4 covers episode 39, Polka Dot Puss, up to 51, Safety Second. Never give Nibbles dangerous explosives. That's rodent parenting 101. When it comes to opening promos and advertisements, Volumes 1 and 2 have trailers for Osmosis Jones and Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, of course. And all 4 videos have the exact same Time Warner video piracy warning.
Beware of illegal video cassettes.
As well as a trailer for the live-action Scooby-Doo movie. It was 2002, so it makes sense to promote the hell out of that. As well as that weird promo for video certificates that you most definitely won't fast forward through the second you see it. So do I recommend these videos? If you're a Tom and Jerry fan, absolutely. These videos run for more than an hour and a half each. If you're having a Tom and Jerry marathon, and for some reason you're doing it VHS style as opposed to any other style, you're covered for 6.5 hours if you don't skip commercials, if you really love that Scooby-Doo trailer and those piracy warnings. Honestly, I don't think I gave these videos as much attention as I should have back in the day. You can blame the Cartoon Network addiction for that. I figured if it was on Cartoon Network, especially in a randomized order, I had no real need for the VHS tapes. Looking back and factoring in how much Tom and Jerry has grown on me in recent years, I can safely say these videos are perfect for anyone who so much as liked the Cat and Mouse. I know I praised Animaniacs Volume 2 to hell and back, but I think these might be the best cartoon-related videos in the entire VHS collection, save for Toy Story 1 and 2 and The Lion King. On the other hand, we have Volume 7, Mouse, Lion and Sinker. Despite the title, the video was released in 1995 and is unrelated to the other 4 volumes and is nowhere near as good. The video only has 7 episodes as opposed to 12 and runs for a grand total of 49 minutes, barely half the running time of those other videos. There's an opening promo for VHS releases from Warner, but not that you'd notice, because the first 2 minutes of the video have some of the worst audio I have ever heard on a VHS tape. I've checked another copy of the video online and that one works fine, so my tape must be damaged. Regardless, when you have a video that has worse audio than that pirate version of 101 Dalmatians from those old Disney piracy warnings, you have a problem. I don't want to say it's a bad video, it's just painfully average even without that awful audio. The video is way too short and shares some episodes with other releases I have. Bad Day at Cat Rock was released 6 years prior to this, and even that video offered more. If I had to pick a Tom and Jerry VHS tape to watch for whatever reason, this one I would probably pick last. On the other hand, we have Tom and Jerry's Bumper Collection. Oh, excuse me, the front of the case says Special Tom and Jerry's Bumper Collection. Released in 1997, this double VHS box set has 18 episodes with a running time of just over 2 hours. There's not much to say with this one. It has 2 hours worth of Tom and Jerry and it's guaranteed to work for the kids. As it says on the back of the case, the cartoons will have you in stitches whether you're 3 or 93. Great, I'll come back to this in 65 years and see if this is true. It's a very nice box set, but I don't think it's as good as those 4 volumes. Those VHS tapes have more content and actually have better episodes. Back in 2019 when I reviewed Looney Tunes Special Bumper Collection Volume 8, I had trouble comparing that release to Christmas Looney Tunes when it comes to quality versus quantity. In this case, I think the 4 volumes, despite being single VHS releases as opposed to double, actually win for both quantity and quality. When you compare the lengths of each VHS tape, the Bumper Collection tapes run for 1 hour and 3 minutes, and the individual volumes run for between 1 hour and 34 minutes for Volume 4 and 1 hour and 41 minutes for Volume 1. For a kid who has no interest in reading the information on the back of VHS cases, the double VHS box sets will probably win, especially when you look at other box sets you have in the collection. But as an adult, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to quality and quantity, there's no comparison. This is by no means a put down for the Bumper Collection. Yes, it may not have the absolute best selections, but this is still a very good package, and this could work wonders on young Tom and Jerry fans. The opening of Tape 1 says this is Volume 6, so evidently there were 5 other box sets in this collection. If you have them, you're most definitely good to go. If I had those box sets instead of the single tape volumes, I wouldn't complain in the slightest. We're almost done. We have one more thing to talk about. For many years now, I've been searching for a Tom and Jerry DVD set with every classic episode. In November 2020, I settled on the Tom and Jerry Complete Collector's Edition. For $13.99, this gives me 159 episodes from Hanna Barbera, Gene Deitch, and Chuck Jones, ranging from 1940's Puss Gets the Boot to 1967's Perchance to Dream. For that amount of content, as far as I'm concerned, the money is more than well spent. That being said, is this box set going to be for everyone? Probably not, no. Problem number 1. This complete collection is not actually complete. We're missing 2 shorts, episode 14, The $1 Million Cat from 1944, and episode 100, Busybodies from 1956, which is a shame because $1 Million Cat has one of the best endings in the entire series.
Gee, I'm throwing away $1 million. But I'm happy! Yeah!
Problem number 2. There are 7 discs, and 5 of them are double-sided. Double-sided DVDs are a nightmare to keep clean and scratch-free, so you'd have to treat them as delicately as possible, because of how easily they can get dirty or even scratched. Problem number 3, and this will be the one that kills a lot of hardcore fans. These cartoons are not the original uncensored prints. For some reason, the DVDs have the censored TV airings that aired on Cartoon Network in the 1990s and 2000s. Well, they do and they don't. A few cartoons are uncut, like Mouse Cleaning and Casanova Cat, but most of the episodes have some censored moments. Nearly every episode featuring Mammy Two Shoes is redubbed, and most gags featuring blackface are cut, including the Milky Way from 1946, easily the most infamous edit the series has ever seen. In the original version, Tom chases Jerry and Nibbles into a cupboard where Jerry applies polish to his and Nibbles' faces in order to pose as African Americans and escape Tom's clutches. However, if you've only ever seen the episode on Cartoon Network, Nibbles spits the milk into Tom's face, he and Jerry run into the kitchen, and all of a sudden, Tom flies face first into a frying pan. Now, when I was a kid, I had no idea about old cartoons being censored to fit politically correct standards, but even then, I found this to be really weird. I never knew what I was missing until I saw Volume 2 on VHS, which has the uncut version of the episode. Although, while that may be the most infamous edit, the strangest TV edit has to be Saturday Evening Puss from 1950, specifically the version on Volume 4 VHS. In the 1960s, this episode was edited to remove Mammy Two Shoes and replace her with a young white woman, with June Foray dubbing over the original voice. In the collector's edition, the episode retains the original Mammy Two Shoes design, but with the new dubbed voice of Thea Vidal. On Volume 4, the white teenage girl is used, but the audio track, I shit you not, is actually the Lillian Randolph version from 1950. So what we have is a white teenager with the voice of a middle-aged African American.
A party? At my house? Excuse me. A party? At my house? Excuse me.
Yeah, when I was recording VHS footage for this, I actually had to stop and check. That was a serious what the fuck moment for me. Those are the 3 big issues with this box set. If you really hate TV edits, missing episodes, or double-sided discs, this will not be the box set for you. For me, however, I am more than happy with what this set gave me. Which brings us back to the question of what is my favourite Tom and Jerry short. Thanks to this box set, I have an answer. Somewhat. I've been able to narrow it down to 3 episodes, all for different reasons, and all of them from Hanna Barbera, which won't surprise any hardcore Tom and Jerry fans. Winner number 1 is episode 3, The Night Before Christmas. This one was the first one to cross my mind. I've never talked about this before because I don't actually have the evidence anymore, but this was actually the first thing I ever recorded from Cartoon Network back in the on-digital days. So as you'd expect, I have a deep nostalgic love for this episode, which has never left me, and the episode never gets old, even after 22 years. Winner number 2 is episode 26, Solid Serenade. This won't surprise anyone, it's one of the most iconic episodes in the entire series, and is easily one of the most entertaining. Tom hides behind a wall and holds up a brick to hit Spike. Spike sees the brick and decides to surprise Tom by going over the wall. Tom hits him with the brick anyway. I've seen this episode more than 100 times, and that never gets old. Winner number 3 was a bit of a surprise for me. Episode 28, Part-Time Pal. During a chase, Tom falls into a barrel of cider, he gets completely hammered, and mayhem ensues. When I was a kid, this one used to air on Cartoon Network all the time, enough times to make a child grow sick of it. When I bought this DVD set and I decided to marathon the entire series, I hadn't seen this one in many, many years, so when I got to Part-Time Pal, I absolutely laughed myself silly at Tom's drunken attempts to ass-kick and set alight Mammy Two Shoes. You know, all the normal things a shit-faced feline tries to do. I underestimated and underappreciated this episode. The way I see it, those 3 are the absolute best in the entire series, and I don't think I'm going to be able to find a definitive winner, since each cartoon wins for entirely different reasons. Although that being said, it was a tough choice, since there are so many great contenders out there. Million Dollar Cat, The Bodyguard, Saturday Evening Puss, Cue Ball Cat, Mouse in Manhattan, The Cat Concerto, Mouse for Sale, Baddie at Cat Rock. There are so many candidates for the best out there. When it comes to the series overall, as far as I'm concerned, 1940s Tom and Jerry episodes are hands down the best. I don't think anyone will disagree there. In my eyes, Tom and Jerry peaked around 1953 with the release of The Missing Mouse and Jerry and Jumbo, and the series began going downhill with the advent of the CinemaScope format. When the budgets get cut and you have to resort to remaking some classic episodes in widescreen, the finished product is going to be less than stellar, although many of the mid to late 1950s episodes aren't too bad, and I'd still pick them over the next 2 eras of Tom and Jerry. Nothing compares to Hanna Barbera. Now we have to talk about Gene Deitch, the era of Tom and Jerry that most fans shit on to this very day. In their defense, they're not necessarily wrong. Gene Deitch didn't like the original series, and the budgets were painfully small, so the end results were interesting. I marathoned the entire Gene Deitch era in one night. It's an incredibly average set of 13 episodes. For virtually every episode, the plots are weak, and most of the time pretty much nothing happens. I will, however, compliment the animation of the Deitch episodes. Yes, they're incredibly weird. Yes, they're absolutely inferior to Hanna Barbera, but I actually found the animation entertaining, purely for how bizarre it all was. Then we have Chuck Jones. My fiancée and I spent a few days with these ones. Her belief was that this era was the best era of Tom and Jerry because, in her words, Jerry wasn't a dick in these episodes. This opinion lasted all of 3 episodes. Is There a Doctor in the Mouse, which is a god-awful title by the way, most of the Jones titles are, changed her mind as fast as Bugs Bunny's Easter Funnies changed my mind. Forget Jerry not being a dick. If you watch enough of these Chuck Jones episodes, you'll find yourself thinking, these 2 fuckers deserve each other. Back in the old days, I would have considered 1965's Baddie at Cat Rock as one of my favourite episodes in the entire series. But even in the mid to late 2000s, when you see the Chuck Jones episodes on Cartoon Network mixed with Hanna Barbera, I could tell something was off with the Chuck Jones ones. They just weren't as funny or entertaining. Now that I've had a chance to marathon them all, I can confirm, they are nowhere near as good. The Chuck Jones era of episodes range from average to full-on bad in later shorts. The same space theme is used 3 times in a very small time frame in 1967, and one episode is just a shitty remake of the Hanna-Barbera short, Designs on Jerry from 1955. Some shorts in the Chuck Jones era, particularly the space episodes, use more stock footage than an average 1940s Universal monster movie, but Shutterbugged Cat may be the absolute worst. Clip show episodes are common in long-running TV shows, and Tom and Jerry is no exception. Hanna-Barbera had 4, and Chuck Jones had 2. The Hanna-Barbera ones weren't perfect. Smitten Kitten, I'm looking right at you, but the other 3 are still decent. Jerry's Diary might be my favourite of them. In the Chuck Jones era, we have Matinee Mouse, which was mediocre and forgettable, and Shutterbugged Cat, which may be the laziest episode in the entire series. After the opening credits, the cartoon itself is 6 minutes long, the first 3.5 of which involve Tom watching old cartoons on a projector interspersed with incredibly short clips of him taking notes on his previous failures, and the last minute of the episode is ripped completely from Designs on Jerry. In keeping of what I said about Universal monster movies, this is on the level of House of Dracula from 1945, having almost the same ending as Ghost of Frankenstein from 1942. Also, Tom is watching Heavenly Puss in this episode. That entire episode was a dream, so Tom shouldn't have film for it, but whatever. Overall, I just found the Chuck Jones era to be boring. In fact, the only really funny moment in this entire set comes from Love Me, Love My Mouse, in which Tom tries to drop a block of concrete on Jerry. When you compare Chuck Jones and Gene Deitch, I think Chuck Jones is artistically better, but Gene Deitch is actually more entertaining because of the weird and surreal animation. This is not a compliment for either of them, since they both pale in comparison to Hanna Barbera. If you're in the mood to watch Tom and Jerry, pick one of the 114 shorts produced by William Hanna and Joseph Barbera, and forget the rest. Now that we're finally done with this, time for some ratings. The Magic Ring gets 3 out of 5. It's a good movie, definitely entertaining, but not one of the best, especially after repeat viewings. Tom and Jerry's Cartoon Cavalcade gets a 4 out of 5. The video could be a lot longer, but a great title and great artwork is enough to get it a 4. Volumes 1, 2, 3 and 4 all get a 5 out of 5. Long run times with some of the best shorts in the entire series. Volume 7 gets a 3 out of 5. God-awful audio and less content than a video released in 1989. The Bumper Collection gets a 4 out of 5. It's a really good box set as it is, but if the 2 VHS tapes were longer, it could have been a 5. Which brings us to the Complete Collector's Edition. Yes, it's censored. Yes, it's missing 2 episodes. Yes, it has double-sided discs. But you know what? It does exactly what I need it to do. 5 out of 5, without a question. Now to put each and every single one of them into the rankings. We'll start from the bottom of the list and work our way up. First, we need to talk about Tom and Jerry the movie. It's currently at number 81, behind Bug Alert, Letters, Colours and Animals. It's not a good movie, but no way in hell can I put Bug Alert higher than it. So we need to fix this problem. Tom and Jerry Volume 7 goes to number 72, ahead of Singing Kettle Live and High Stakes Sonic, and behind Wacky Races Volume 1 and Peak Peak Party. The Magic Ring goes to number 49. For all the shit I gave Space Jam, deep down I don't think I could put the Magic Ring higher than it. Tom and Jerry's Cartoon Cavalcade goes to 39, ahead of the Fast and Furious franchise and Daffy Duck's Fantastic Island, and behind Kim Possible, The Secret Files, Rescues on the Railways and Happy Holidays. It's a decent VHS release, but there's no way in hell it beats Kim Possible. The Bumper Collection goes to number 15, ahead of Troublesome Trucks, Down the Mine, and Around the World with Timon and Pumbaa, and behind Pingu's Big Video. Volumes 1 through 4 go to number 11, ahead of Animaniacs and behind the Portuguese Looney Tunes DVDs. I spent a couple of nights thinking about it, and as good as these videos are, Looney Tunes wins this round. And finally, the Complete Collector's Edition. This worked wonders on me, despite all the flaws. The box set costs so little, and yet it offers so much. It goes to number 5, ahead of The Lion King and Singing Kettle Pirates, and behind Toy Story and the Cartoon videos. Finally, we're done. Next time, we'll look at a Disney movie I underestimated back in the mid-2000s.